Hey, good morning, Georgia. Good morning, everyone. Great to be on Community Focus. I'm coming to you from the state capitol, Georgia Public Service Commission. Faith, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing great. It's a
Yeah,
rainy but cool day in Georgia. We'll take it.
it's a mess. My colleague, Commissioner Pridemore, stuck in traffic. My daughter just had double flat tires. Uh, it must be great, Ellen, to just be in Cartersville and not worrying about any of that stuff.
That's right.
And
And I don't have any minor children, so that makes it all the better.
Yeah.
I mean, I loved it when they were there, but there are advantages to letting them grow up.
Yeah, well, we're going to be talking to David Franklin. He's the associational missionary for the Bartow Baptist Association. He'll join us shortly. Debbie, good morning. Thanks for all you're doing to fight human trafficking. Faith's going to talk with you towards the end of the show today.
Wonderful.
And Ryan Sanders. Ryan, you're a city guy. You get up to Cartersville very often?
We enjoyed our time up there. We actually did get up there fairly often. It's been a couple of years now, but we enjoyed our time. We spent a lot of time in rural Georgia. And, Cartersville is not rural anymore, really.
Oh, yeah.
No, it's not. We're going to talk with you about our clean energy and 2 installments that you've done up there, solar array. So let's drop Debbie and Ryan to the green room, Faith, and let's talk to Ellen. Ellen, if we get you squared up here. There. Ellen is the executive director for the Cartersville Bartow County Convention and Visitors Bureau. And Ellen, you're right there on 75. I mean, 41, formerly was the interstate before there was a 75. So Cartersville's really been a go-to stopping place for people for decades, hasn't it?
Oh, yeah. And fun fact, the last segment on I-75 to be completed was through Cartersville. So there were a lot of accidental tourists through Cartersville from the 50s through the 70s. So, but they all love us and came back.
Yeah, there's a number of things up that way. Most recently, this Lake Point ball field, not just a ball field, but how many ball fields are there up there? It's huge.
Well, there are 8 major league size fields.
Uh-huh.
Excuse me, I'm not the sport expert. But there's also soccer. There's an indoor facility known as the Champions Center, which has floor space. Like the easy way to remember it is 14 basketball courts, and so they have hosted everything: basketball, soccer, the Harlem Globetrotters, U.S. gymnastics trials, cheerleading competition, dance, the whole 9 yards. Anything that any kid would be involved in sports-wise, we're taking it on it, welcoming them to Lake Point, including sand volleyball.
Yeah, incredible. Faith, you play any volleyball? I know you're into horses.
I avoid all sports that involve a ball coming anywhere near my face. I solely play equestrian sports. And I did a little bit of soccer, kickball before my ankles got messed up. But
you should try your hand at or your feet at wakeboarding then at Terminus, which is also located at Lake Point.
How about that?
Wow.
Wakeboarding, yeah.
Ellen, we do the Clean Energy Roadshow every year. This year we'll be in Peachtree Corners, Macon, and Savannah. But I guess, Faith, 3 or 4 years ago, we stopped at the Tellus Museum up there and did our roadshow there. What do folks get, Ellen, at the Tellus Museum? I mean, don't they have a telescope and they've got an old car museum? I mean, there's a lot of stuff.
Wow. Well, you got 120,000 square feet of world-class science exhibits in 5 separate categories: a digital planetarium, an interactive children's gallery, which you can't get kids out of. I promise that my grandkids will not go away. Of course, the natural science is known for the dinosaurs. There is a pendulum in the lobby, which of course shows the rotation of the Earth. It's a beautiful structure. You can see in the geology section a display shows where there's any seismic activity anywhere in the world in real time. That's really cool.
That's really cool.
I mean, that's to name a few.
Yeah, and then in town, you've got that Booth Museum with all that Western art. How did that come about?
Well, Just good planning, I guess. The Booth Western Art Museum was the first museum that a private foundation, which is behind them all, opened. It's now 15 years old, and it too is 120,000 square feet. It is a Smithsonian Museum affiliate, as is TELUS. And one of the things people overlook at the booth, well, number one, they have the largest permanent collection of Western American art in the country, which means in the world, because nobody else collects Western American art. Right. But one thing that quite often most breathtaking is the Presidential Gallery. There you find in Cartersville, Georgia, the only intact collection of signed presidential letters from every U.S. president that exists anywhere. So cool. And of course, each display on each president contains, trivia and perhaps some personal art that you could spend a day in that gallery.
Wow.
And the Civil War art galleries.
Yeah, Faith, you're an artist. So, I mean, I've got your lighthouse that you did here from Tybee. You ever draw any horses? I mean, surely you have.
Horses. I've been drawing horses since I could hold a crayon in my hand. Horses were my original art topic. But I'm also a huge history buff, and so is my husband. He has a degree in history. So we love the museums. We need to get up there to Cartersville, it sounds like, and visit both.
Well, breaking news here. We have a third sister museum, Savoy Automobile Museum, which will be opening December the 8th.
Awesome.
And so while it won't open with Smithsonian affiliate status, there is no question in my mind.
Now, see, the commissioner loves the cars. That's his wheelhouse.
Yeah. Hey, I had horses as a boy, but once I turned 16, I went from horses to horsepower.
Cars, right.
And I never looked back, except at my daughters.
Your cars don't kick and bite you like your horses did.
I hope most cars aren't as expensive as horses either, I'll tell you.
No, they're not.
Well, Ellen, say hello to my friend Representative Matt Gamble up there, and Joe.
Oh, I love Matt. Yeah.
And one of my favorite governors of all time, Joe Frank Harris. He got elected while I was in college. What a fine man he is. And so say hello to all our friends up there. Thanks for being on Community Focus today.
Thank you.
Thanks,
it's
Ellen.
my pleasure.
Hey, let's bring Ryan Sanders in, Faith. Ryan, you got, let's start out first. You've got 3 degrees. I mean, you're one of the smartest guys that I know. Let's see, you did UGA, Georgia Tech, and Emory. Is that right?
All 3, yes. And that's been a while now, but yeah, so Georgia was my undergrad, did a master's degree at Georgia Tech, and then finished up with an MBA at Emory.
Yeah, unbelievable.
But I'm a bulldog.
Yeah, I have 3 degrees from Georgia. I should have got out more. I probably should have. With this job, I really should have went to Georgia Tech for something. But
there you go.
It's too late for me. I'm 61. There's no way I'm going back to school.
Never say never.
Yeah, Ryan. We've got a massive power plant up in Cartersville, Plant Bowen, fully scrubbed, super high technology on water savings and reclamation, and a lot of that scrubber material goes to peanut farmers and serves as not fertilizer, but it is a root supplement. But you guys have put a couple solar arrays up in Cartersville. How big are they?
Our solar arrays are not large relative to the coal facility. They're 2.3 megawatts and 2.8 megawatts of 2 facilities. So in all, about a $5 million investment into Bartow County. So yeah. It's not a competition with the coal facilities. We do very different things for the utility company, but we are located in proximity.
Yeah. So how did these 2 come about? Was it a vision of a couple of folks up there, or is this something that your company, Beltline Solar, kind of went after, secured options on the land? How did it happen?
Well, the latter. I mean, these are the result of the programs that you guys approve. So in, I guess that was 2016, you approved the READY program, and part of that was competitive bid DG. And this is a familiar story. Both of these landowners were the same way. They had owned the property in their family for generations. They're in an area where that's gentrifying, it's urbanizing. And in fact, what we're seeing in Cartersville and in Bartow County is really what good urbanism looks like in 2021. These families wanted to keep the property. They didn't want to sell to a residential neighborhood or a manufacturing facility. So they enter into a long-term lease with us. They generate higher revenues than they could through agriculture. And they're able to keep the property in the family for another generation or two. So that's the case in both of these locations that we develop these solar farms.
That's really cool to me.
And so that electricity is going back on the grid. It's just being consumed right there in Bartow County, isn't it?
Absolutely. And there is so much. This is exactly where Georgia Power wants these type of DG. This is where they're the most valuable to the utility, because you have a transitioning area. There's more energy usage. And right in the middle of all of this, and heavily regulated by zoning, so they're screened from view and such, but you have clean energy generation that's serving the communities within a 2 or 3 mile radius. So,
Ryan, if folks out there are interested in solar, is it true that flat land, maybe cheap land, but certainly the proximity to the substation, how important is it in order to win these bids that they be close to a substation?
It's important. We usually don't look more than about 2 or 3 miles away from a substation, because Georgia Power is going to want to make sure that that line that you're interconnecting into all the way back to the substation is modernized. So if you get too far away, the upgrades from your point of interconnection to the substation put too much additional costs onto the projects.
Ryan, you and I and Faith and many others worked together down on Sapelo Island to put that little canopy down there that benefited their library. Is now being net metered. That was a great project, wasn't it?
Absolutely. It was great on a lot of different levels, and we continue to talk favorably about it, about the impact it's had on the state. So we think that was time well spent.
Well, great. Well, thanks for all you're doing. How can folks find out more about Beltline Solar?
The best thing to do, I saw you had our website up there at the bottom of the page, but beltlineenergy.com. You can come on. There's a new client submittal form where you can reach out to us, and we're happy to evaluate your land holding or talk about solar or really address any questions you might have.
Well, great. Well, thank you so much, Ryan. Keep up the great work.
Yeah, thanks as always.
Thanks,
Hey,
Ryan.
Faith, let's bring Debbie into the mix. And Debbie is the Director of Women's Services at End Slavery, Georgia. And they provide service to survivors of trafficking, as well as prevention and awareness training to the community. Debbie, we've been doing the Unholy Tour for now 6 years, and we just delayed one that we had scheduled for next week because of COVID. We just can't seem to, get to a place where we can, cram people on a bus yet. But Faith's got a few questions for you. We work very closely in this area. So thanks for all you're doing.
Thank you.
Thanks, Debbie. So tell me about End Slavery, Georgia. What do you guys provide for survivors and for the community?
Right. Well, End Slavery, Georgia was started in January of 2016. We started out as with an educational venue, an awareness venue to our community. In 28, shortly after that, we started working with actual survivors of trafficking. In 2018, we were able to open our first safe house. It will house 6 women at any given time, and that has stayed pretty much full since we started it. We try to take a very holistic approach to care of these clients, meaning we are a small organization. So what we do is we collaborate with many organizations, both here in the state of Georgia and around the nation. Our name is End Slavery, Georgia. When we started, we were thinking that if we could just make an impact in our small northwest corner of the state, that would be significant. But literally right out of the gate, we had international clients. We've had clients from all across the country. And since then, we've been able to partner with these agencies and care for a lot of them as well. Trauma victims and the survivors, they suffer a lot. It affects them mentally, physically, socially, spiritually. And then there's always legal issues coming with them. And so what we have done is we've collaborated with resources who partner with us to help these clients based on their individual needs. We currently, the size we are, we're able to kind of customize everything to the client because everybody has something totally different.
Right.
But we have some great partnerships across the state and across the United States actually. And, we're always looking for more partners.
So do you guys do medical care, psychological, mental health care, as well as do you do job training and education and that kind of thing for your women?
We facilitate every bit of that. And what we do is we partner with the agencies who have a specialty in that. We have licensed counselors here in Rome, Georgia, again, like I said, across the state that we partner with who do the counseling with our clients. We partner with a couple of the colleges here in hopes that once these clients are reach a certain point, we're able to get them, make sure they have appropriate education, and maybe they want to go on and get a degree in something, and job training, and to get them to that point so that they can get a good job that will sustain them afterwards.
And I know substance abuse and addiction is quite frequently a problem for this client group. So I assume that you're able to address that as well.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. We partner with literally right next door to us, an agency here that does all of our outpatient treatment for that and for mental health. Yes.
And then you also reach out into the community. Can you tell me a little bit about your awareness and prevention training?
Yes,
that you can get to community.
We actually do seminars. I have one scheduled in Fannin County just next month. But we do conferences, seminars. We speak at church events, schools, businesses, anywhere they will let us come in to talk about sex trafficking and prevention and awareness, what to look for, what to do if you think you found a victim. So yeah, we're all about getting the news out into the public because unfortunately they are very illiterate on the subject.
So what are some ways that people can get involved, people can give to your organization or be involved in your organization?
Right. There are, I would say one of the main things is opening up avenues because we have a team of people that go out and teach, and we're located here, but there are several organizations throughout the state that do this as well. But opening up venues for them to come in and train people, knowledge is power, and you just being educated about the trafficking industry, it gives them the ammunition that they need to literally provide rescue to someone.
Absolutely. Thank you for what you do in your organization, Debbie, and thank you for coming on with us today and telling us a little bit more about that Northwest Georgia that isn't heavily populated with nonprofits working in this, and we appreciate you.
Right.
Thank you, Debbie. Keep up the great work.
Thank you.
David, the work that Debbie's doing in fighting human trafficking, I know that Southern Baptists are talking more and more about this topic.
Jim, that's exactly right. And it's, there's a whole bunch of stuff from human trafficking to adoption to foster care. Really have tried to see, okay, where do we have needs where human flourishing is being restricted? And so in Bartow County, we're working on everything from, the whole opioid addiction to housing, because if you don't have a good house, if you don't have housing and you don't have a job, then you can't flourish. And so we've been working on a lot of things with human flourishing, and it's a real broad topic. And, but we're looking at, hey, can we get houses and then put people in them and coach them with whole life discipleship? And that's everything from, sure, spiritual stuff, but also things like how do you shop and shop well and cook a meal and eat a meal as a family. And we've got churches that have volunteered to say, hey, we'll adopt a family and walk with them for 2 or 3 years. And we actually have found ways to help them navigate home ownership, stuff like that. So it's real broad, Tim. Wow. It's real broad.
Well, we're talking to David Franklin. He's the associational missionary for Bartow Baptist Association. David, I don't think I ever told you this, but my great times 5 grandfather, Richard Phillips, was the associational missionary in Cumming, Georgia. He like you, spent a lot of time at the Capitol. He went a step further. He ran for the legislature and got elected as a preacher in 1830, and only served 1 term. And I'm at the Capitol now, and just next door is our library. And I went in there to the House Journal and looked at the 1830 session because I was interested to see how did my preacher granddad vote on issues like freeing slaves and the whole Cherokee land grab that happened as Georgia took land away from the Cherokees. And my granddad was always voting to free slaves, which they had to get legislative approval at the time to do that. And they were losing. So slaves weren't being freed. It was being voted on and they were losing. And then my granddad rode horseback. So this is 1830s, right? Rode horseback with the Cherokees as they were booted out of Georgia on the Trail of Tears and rode with them all the way to the Tennessee River. Wow. So, Richard Phillips, was a man of God, and he got involved with the community in a big way. You have too with the National Day of Prayer. You gave leadership to the National Day of Prayer for Georgia for years. It's such an important aspect in society, isn't it?
Tim, and I would say that one of the great things that's happened in Bartow County, 2009, I was still new, but we put out a call to prayer as the economy had busted. We were at 20% unemployment, and we had 136 ministers show up at 11 o'clock to pray together and crowd to God. And then when we marched down to 12 o'clock to our courthouse, we ran to the corner and there was over 1,000 people there, and people were weeping because they had not seen their ministers together like that. The year before, we had maybe 140 people at the National Day of Prayer, but we began to cry out and we prayed for jobs. And our Chamber of Commerce finally said, "Look, would y'all quit praying? We got so many, we don't have enough workers." And but that prayer has been a huge thing. And Tim, in Southern Baptist life, there's this famous lady named Lottie Moon, who's the most famous missionary in Southern Baptist life. And she actually came from Virginia to Cartersville to work with poor Appalachian Mountain children. And what we've just done is just kind of redug those spiritual wells and really have prayed into that kind of stuff. And so there's been this history in Bartow County from Lottie Moon to Sam Jones, who's this famous Methodist guy, of people meeting human needs. And so we have done a community profile and have done all that kind of stuff. But one of the biggest ones that we did recently was we did a community profile and found out that the number one statistic in education, it was not high school graduation like I thought. It was 3rd grade reading proficiency. And a lot of people know that, but none of us did. And so we found out that kids who get behind in their sight words and stuff get discouraged, and you learn to read by 3rd grade, and then you read to learn. And kids that were getting behind were falling way behind and dropping out. And I didn't even know that the government used that as a key metric for how to prisons to build. And so we mobilized. We got a great superintendent. We mobilized a whole bunch of people. And when the pandemic hit, we had 550 volunteers working in every first and grades classroom in Bartow County schools. And the reading scores were being dramatically changed. And so
wow,
that was huge.
I love that.
That's my wife, is a first grade teacher, so
she knows. You've heard it.
And taught my 7 children to read. So, hey, as we wrap up, I think about the heritage of prayer that you guys have up there. I remember when Joe Frank Harris was elected, I guess it was 1982, and he served 2 terms. But I remember we had a drought, and he went to his church. I think he went to the Methodist church there and got down on his knees on the steps of the church and was asking God to bring rain in our state. Do you remember that?
I was not there, but I've heard about it because his son is a friend of mine, and that is one of the famous prayer stories, as well as a number of them across Bartow County.
Yeah, his book, his biography is in every Georgia library. I commend it to you. This was a great man, a great governor. I just have so much respect for him. Well, Faith, let's bring everybody back in, and just want to say thank you, David, for your good work with the community there. Ellen, thank you for serving and bringing new business to Bartow County. Ryan, your leadership with solar, you're doing a fantastic job. Let's continue to make progress, huh?
Thanks, Commissioner. Happy to do so.
Yeah. And Debbie, we feature something about human trafficking every single week. That's how important the topic should be.
Right.
We all should be talking about this. It is a blight. It's a blight on our state, but it happens, and we got to help these ladies in recovery. So thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, everyone, thank you. Faith, where are we going next week?
So next week we'll be in Gainesville, and the week after that, wrapping up September, we'll be in Kennesaw, and then the first week of October we'll be off of community focus, but we'll be coming back with Dublin on the 14th of October.
Fantastic. Well, everyone, thank you. Have a great day. We're going to have a little committee meeting here, and then I'm going to go try to get my daughter's car fixed. Have
a great day, everybody. Thank you.
All right, y'all.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks,
God
everybody.
bless. Take care. Bye-bye.